We are live. Welcome. My name is Catherine Preston. I am one of the programmers for the Philadelphia Film Festival, as well as the Philadelphia Film Society. For those who are watching at home, I am so pleased to be able to present the movie Obituary of Tunde Johnson to you. You've just watched it and you're tuning in. I so apologize for the little bit of delay. We had some technical difficulties. Welcome to 2020. But I'm grateful to be here. Thank you. So please introduce yourselves and we can get this going.
You first, kid.
My name is Stanley Kalu. I wrote this movie. I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah.
I'm LeRoi. I directed the movie that he wrote, and I'm even more excited than he is.
Super excited. Everyone's super excited about this right now.
How did you guys come together to work on it?
So we were, well, I was gonna say we were 19. I was 19 and I wrote this movie in screenwriting class, and then I won a $1 million grant when I was 21, and Ali just happened to be one of the judges. And then he decided to direct the movie, and then we became friends, and that's about it. That's our story. That's mean a lot.
It's really about that tight. I mean, you know, we could give you more details, but it wouldn't bring you to a different conclusion.
Yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
What's the reaction been like to this movie? Because I know it's such an important story. There's so many incredible things to unpack in the film. What has the reaction been like?
From everything I can tell, the people that have seen it seem to like it, and you know, I don't want to say enjoy it. That's almost the wrong word, but it seems to have had a significant impact on a lot of people who have seen it. I mean, you know, people have been moved to some great emotions that we witnessed firsthand, and you know, in terms of, I guess, reviews and you know, critical response, it's been, I would say, overwhelmingly positive. And very, very well received. That's everything I can tell.
Yeah, very grateful for that. You know, shout out to all the critics out there really supporting the film. It means a lot to me.
You know, it's interesting you said enjoy, because I think as the sort of Groundhog's Day approach to it is sort of a really enjoyable experience, weirdly, as like just narratively speaking. Of course, you know, you start out knowing that's going to be, at least I started out knowing that would be how the film was going to progress. And at first you're sort of like, oh, cool, we're going to live the same day again in like, oh, a different way. But it obviously ends up going in, you know, really devastating directions. I found it really interesting too, that he wasn't at least necessarily aware that that was happening as a character. Like, you know, like whereas in Groundhog's Day, he's like making conscious choices because he knows the outcome. It didn't, to me, I mean, please tell me if I'm wrong.
I mean, we both have different perspectives on that. I mean, Stanley, you can tell it the way you approached it in writing. I can tell you the way I approached it in directing.
I mean, I think it's about the futility of the situation. He is really trying to make conscious choices. That's the thing, you know, and we all try to make conscious choices, I think, as Black people, and as, you know, particularly, you know, within this film context as like Black men, about how to, you know, how to avoid violence. And the thing is, like, you know, there is no point, you know, there's nothing you can do. You can be in your apartment, people will kill you. You can be jogging, people will kill you. You can wear your hood, you cannot wear your hood. You can be playing with a toy gun and people will kill you. And, you know, and I think, you know, my reasoning for all of that is to highlight, like, it's not about the choices that you make. It's about the color of your skin, and that's about it. It's not about the socioeconomic strata as a Black person that you occupy. It's that you're Black, and that's it, you know? And actually, you know, I often take issue with the criticism that, like, well, you know, it doesn't follow like time loop structure cleanly. It's like, no, this is real life. That's the thing. Like, you can't make like conscious choices to avoid police brutality. If that was the case, Black people wouldn't be dying every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, that's, you know, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, from a storytelling perspective, I just think, for me, approaching the material, and trying to honor, what Stanley created, um, it's not a video game, right? It's not like I'm gonna get to the end and I'm gonna kill the big boss and everything's gonna be okay. It's more like I wake up every day and I know that I'm going to be confronted with some things, other things I'm not aware of. But what I don't understand is that anything that I do, even if I thought I knew what was going to happen, by trying to make a conscious choice to do something different, it just triggers a different set of events.
Mhm.
But the inevitability is that it's leading to the same place. You're just getting there on a different route. And that's the most frustrating thing for him as a character, because he doesn't wake up knowing that there's this clear goal in mind and he's got to try and figure out how to get there. He's kind of figuring out what is kind of happening as he's going along. And even at that point at which he finally makes a decision that kind of, frees him from this, this horrifying loop. It's not a conscious decision to try to get out of the loop. It's a conscious decision to do what's best for himself, to survive as a person, period. And that's the thing that ultimately gives him some release. But I mean, if you're really paying attention closely, we sort of intimate that that cycle continues. It's just
Yeah,
that he's out of it and somebody else is in it. It's this ever-present state that people are getting sucked into, whether they want to be in it or not.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How long did it take to iron out the structure and the gradual shifts between the iterations?
So, so, um, so the script that won the award, I'd written that in one draft. That was the first screenplay I'd ever written. And then basically, when we were, in rewrites, I think I probably like knocked out, like the most of it was done in a month, like kind of like monstrous, very quick, sort of restructuring. But then from there, like I was still writing on set. There's like monologues and like pieces that were shifting because of how we were shooting, and so I had to like learn how to like write on the fly and write in the trailer or write in like no, Ali knows you know what I'm talking about.
I
Like
just thought,
it'd be like, oh, we don't have this, Stanley.
right.
Like
So,
go to
so
the
here's one of the things that we needed
go
to
to the
do
thing.
with our script supervisor. Worked very closely with us, because before we started shooting, I actually had to graph out each time loop and then determine at what point during the day was certain things occurring, so that when we went into subsequent loops and certain pieces of the day changed, other pieces remained the same.
Right.
So it was like it's a delicate dance around which things are shifting and which things are not, so that as you go from loop to loop, the audience understands fundamentally that everything is working the way that it's supposed to, even though they can't necessarily pinpoint all the specificities of each day. There's nothing that we didn't throw up any red flags. We didn't throw up any. There's somebody say, "Hey, wait a second! I thought he was on this side of town at 6 o'clock in the morning," right? So we kind of addressed most of those ideas, I think, in a fairly strong way. So as you're watching, you don't get taken out of the material by some, glaring mistake on our handling of the time. But it required a lot of attention.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So a lot has happened in the world since, the script was written, since even you've made the film, even since last week. Um, if you were to sit down and do this again, is there something you would add or do differently?
No, no, because and this is personal, because like I always say that like that is like a white person question and a white person like answer almost. Like this has been happening. This is not like the world changed. Like, oh, so much is going on in the world. No, Black people have been dying for like way longer than 2020. Like this, cyclical violence against Black bodies is like deeper than like the police, and it's deeper. This is just like every day, all the time, and that's like a part of like Black reality. So when I get asked a question like that about like how, if I do a thing like different, or like, oh, how does this here like recontextualize the script? It's like, no, like Black people have known this, Black people have lived this. Anyone that's Black has like been through this, goes through this all the time. So I wouldn't change anything because it's like the same experience. It's the same shit, you know? But that's just me though.
Yeah, that's totally valid. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the conception, composition, and maybe some thought behind Mr. Johnson's artwork?
Oh, do you want to take, that's actually so funny. I've not heard that one. Ali, do you want to take that?
Oh, wow, the artwork. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's steeped in, you know, it's steeped in the culture. It's drawing on, you know, cultural references and influences. You know, I hate to speak for an artist, who should be answering, you know, for himself, but for us, you know, all of the you know, all the art in the film is reflective and attached to the culture, diaspora, you know, and kind of, you know, delves into the space of spirituality, like, because you know, it's not inherently an American space that this family is in. So just, you know, in terms of you know, where we're coming from, you know, artistically, we just wanted to, you know, expand on some of those ideas. And, you know, and for people who care, like the person who asked this question, you know, there's, you know, there's some more substantive stuff there, but literally that, you know, I don't want to go, you know, way off in the deep end, but really we just were very conscious to, like I say, reflect space, reflect culture, you know, and reflect ourselves, really, you know. So that was the approach to it.
Great, thank you. Another question from the audience is, what's one thing you feel as though you've learned from each other while working on this movie?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's great.
Could be more than one thing.
That's great because me and Ali are like legitimately friends, like way outside of this context. And like, so like, not only did I learn a ton about directing, a ton about like jazz, a ton about like where to go in Los Angeles and like cool spots, like in general, but like, you know, I see Ali as like, I see Ali as like a true mentor for me. He has helped me like navigate industry, like the industry, like, you know, nothing else. And like more importantly, like, you know, I come to Hollywood just like real life problems, and like he like helps me with like my 23-year-old like problems, and like gives me like perspective about things that are like, you know, maybe minuscule to him, but like takes them like very seriously when it comes to me. So like, you know, he's like fundamental to my like development as a, you know, not just an artist, but like, you know, like a human being for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you know, we could say the same thing. I've learned from Stanley a lot about what it means to be self-possessed. I wish I had the confidence that he has now. You know, I wish I don't even think I'm as confident now as he is. And it's fascinating to watch because he's grown up in a world that is, you know, a couple of generations, you know, beyond where I was, you know, you know, in my youth. So with a whole different set of again, cultural, global, you know, pop influences, you know, Stanley has grown up knowing that there are rich, powerful Black people in the world who can do what they feel like doing and it'll work. Right? When I was growing up, you know, all of the people that I was looking at were asking white people to just like quit fucking with us. Like, and it's still the same thing. However, there actually are, you know, like we actually have enough rich, famous Black people now that we can spare 3 or 4 of them to be complete and total assholes, and it doesn't take down everybody.
Right. Right.
Like we actually can say now, that's just Lil Wayne. Right? I mean, that's what we can say now. Oh, look, 50 Cent is at Trump's house. Okay.
Right. Right.
But it doesn't take down, you know, like one black person is actually not responsible for all the rest of the black people anymore, which was much more the case when I was growing up. You know, we didn't have this sort of autonomy and this freedom and see these paths and just kind of have this, like I said, this really self-possession and understand that we could live the sort of life that we want and we should and we can, you know. So
I kind of like that. Yeah, self-possession. Okay.
yeah, you're self-possessed.
I'd
Yeah,
also love to hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no.
We can just talk to each other.
Yeah, please continue.
No, I am really curious to hear about the casting process because it's such a strong ensemble cast, but of course the lead is just so compelling.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would dare say that it's traditional, but I don't know because I don't know what other people's casting processes are like. You know, we had a number of actors come in for, you know, for all of the roles. When Steven Silver came in to audition for Tunde, you know, he had a certain presence about him, you know, when he came, you know, into the room, and it was just, he was just a compelling and interesting guy, right? And then as we kind of started to, you know, see other actors for the role, and you know, Spencer Neville came in to audition for Soren. Joey Polari came in to audition for Soren as well, and his Joey had such a like a compelling personality as an actor that he wasn't right for Soren, but I just was convinced we should have him in this movie as something because he just, like I say, he just had just a ton of presence, and I think it speaks volumes of, you know, Spencer and Steven and also Nicola, that somebody like Joey, who, you know, is Attack of the Scene Stealers Volume 1, like when you're working with a guy like that, you really got to be great, because if not, he'll eat you up in every scene. And so that's how strong the rest of the cast was. Nicola, when she auditioned, we first saw her on tape, and like literally her face and her shifts emotionally were just so like compelling. Like she just, you know, through a screen she was able to you know, to bring us into the idea of Marley and who this girl is as a character. And you know, in her own way, she certainly understands a lot about that type of girl, the pretty girl who is not living the life that you think that she's living. You know, so we did chemistry tests with Steven and, you know, and some other actors playing Soren, and with Soren and some with Spencer and some other actors playing Tunde. But we eventually got it down to the two of them, and they just really had, you know, Stanley mentioned jazz. There was a lot of improvisation that we did in auditions as well, specifically for those two characters, and they really just had a genuine, great, you know, effectual sort of energy that just is like, okay, yeah, these are the ones that need to be on the screen.
Yeah, I like that incorporation of the improvisation jazz thing. That's great. What was the original plan for the release of this film? And were you able to attend any festivals before the pandemic? Or
We
what
were
was
going
the
to release it
timeline?
in 4,000 screens on IMAX. We were going to go head to head with James Bond.
Yep. It was us. It was us, James Bond, and the Avengers.
Right.
Who was duking it out? It was the summer blockbuster.
We were gonna counter program Tunde against Tenet and James Bond.
And we would have won too if it wasn't for those dastardly kids.
Like if there's anybody left that wants to see a movie that doesn't want to see Tenet or James Bond.
Okay. No, we should be serious because this is a film festival and this is serious time.
No. All right, so
Whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, this is serious time for serious filmmakers.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we have, we had a standard, hopes and dreams. We opened at TIFF about a year ago, and great reviews and so on and so forth. Because of some financial concerns, we had to be sort of specific about the sort of deals we were trying to make, and we couldn't come to an arrangement. with any of the distributors. So until we could find something that was satisfactory, we decided to go back out and stay on the festival circuit, and and keep the movie being seen. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, we're in talks with a distributor who, fingers crossed, will have us out on platforms, and maybe even a day and date. Don't quote me. In February. So that's what we're looking for right now. And I mean, a lot of ways, I almost think, sometimes you feel not disappointed, but you really just want to get your work out there. But this has been such an insane year that it's almost like, by it not coming out sooner, I almost think that even though we wouldn't change anything that we have done, the reception that it's getting is shifting because of the type of year this has been. So, a lot of ways, the pandemic has helped us. We're the only two people though. Everybody else is like, man, this pandemic is nuts. And me and Stanley are like, no, this is cool.
It's all right.
Have you been creative during the pandemic?
Yeah, I don't know. Define creative, man. I've been able to write a little bit, but no, it's been incredibly oppressive and depressing. And I've made a lot of photographs. I've been to a ton of marches. That drains the energy. And so, to the extent that I have to personally, I've been writing and trying to come up with things, but it's difficult. It really is difficult. And, Stanley is in a space right now, trying to, you got to tend to your mental well-being, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in front of a computer all day, hustling and grinding, to some unknown end. And sometimes it's just like, I think I'm just going to take today off and be a little sad and manage that for a second before I start trying to whip around and grind out another script. Where's it going? And fucking,
No, but I'd say to that I was like extremely productive, like extremely productive this year, extremely creative for like maybe like a solid like five out of these 8 months. I was like really on top of my stuff. And now I'm definitely not being very creative because I'm traveling around America and just like vibing. I'm steady vibing. Like that's all I do right now. It's just like I just travel and like hang out. Like I might come.
I'm getting more creative now. I'm actually feeling like now I'm able to work a little bit more. But I was in a serious funk for a long time.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
All right.
But it sounds like traveling and I mean that sounds productive to me.
It's helpful.
Productive in a different way.
Yeah, no, it keeps things fresh. At the end of the day, like I left Los Angeles because like time seemed to have like frozen in like a strange way. And then like if I keep moving, like time seems to move at like a regular pace. And also just like being able to have new experiences and new energy, new spaces is by nature inspiring. And now I need to visit Philly. I've never been, but now it's on my list of places in America to like dive into and like see what's up over there.
Sorry, thank you guys for being patient with the technical difficulties, and thank you, Catherine.
She's doing, she is doing, and she has done an amazing job. She got called in out of the wild blue yonder to sub for you, and you would not have known it unless I had said something. So I think that she deserves a bit of credit and some applause.
Yes.
One more movie question. We got another movie question. You all right, Michael? Everything?
I'm
right?
good. I just, my power is crazy.
Okay.
I don't want to step on Catherine's toes. You got one more?
Oh, I mean, I was curious to know if you plan on working with each other again, if that's in the cards.
Yes.
There's something coming. It's really fire. It's super fire. It's super fire. I'm so excited.
I would gladly give up all of my own work just to direct stuff that Stanley writes.
you guys don't know. Something really fire is coming. Like,
I want to be Stanley's Larry Charles.
so fire. I'm telling you, I made this stuff like when I was being productive during quarantine and also junior year. Like the year after I wrote Tunde, I wrote something that's really fire. Then I developed it, top quarantine, and it's even more fire. And like it's way better than this movie. And that's it. That's all I can say. It's actually insane, and I'm very excited about it. So
And I'm gonna
Philadelphia is waiting.
try to direct it, whatever it is.
Yeah,
We're ready.
yeah, we're ready for you.
yeah, hopefully. It's a cat.
Cat.
Sorry.
I have 2 cats.
This has been the
This
best.
is the Q&A on the platform that everyone's going to talk about. Everyone's going to be going straight to the Q&A.
Oh, this is the best Q&A of them all.
This is the best one we've had. This is fun, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Usually this is so stuffy.
Thank you.
The big takeaways of me and Stanley are actually friends. It was
Yes.
a very interesting improvisational casting process on the movie.
Mhm.
Originally, we were going to come out as counter programming against Tennant and James Bond.
Mhm.
In
COVID,
IMAX.
ruined all of that. So we're probably fingers crossed coming out maybe like a day and date on this platforms, etc. Hopefully in February. Do not, whatever you do, call Catherine beautiful. She doesn't like that.
Never do that.
And Stanley
Never do that.
America discovering himself.
Yes, because I'm 23 and I'm still trying to find myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Stanley doesn't like it when you ask him white people questions.
That was fed by me, and I miswrote it. I meant to say in your world, because you were 19 when you wrote it. You're 23 now, and those are such key
Right.
years. That wasn't
Okay.
about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because I didn't mean to throw Catherine under the bus there, but it was more about like you're 19 when you wrote that. You're 23
Yeah.
now. Do you see anything differently?
Oh, certainly. I mean, look, like I hadn't had, because I'm not American. So the first real like physical, like fully emotional, like Black grief that I experienced was during George Floyd. And I just have like I had an understanding of it when I was 19 years old. But now I understand like what it really, like the damage it does, not only to your psyche, not only, to your mental health, but to your body. And like I really understand the idea and feeling of collective Black grief, and that feeling, I've never felt something so heavy and so painful in my life. And so it wouldn't, I wouldn't change the work itself, but if I had written it when I was 23, it would just be a completely different movie. Like it wouldn't be I couldn't write the obituary now. It would be a very different, whatever I have to express about Blackness and about violence against Black bodies now is like, yeah, it's just coming from a very, very, very different and heavier space than Tunde.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go, Ali. There's your final film question.
Let him have that. I mean, his introduction to, Black grief in America, is trailing mine by about 3 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was a little kid and I knew who Emmett Till was, right? And when you're 14 years old, 13 years old, and you understand that a 13-year-old has been, murdered because he looked at a white woman, you don't have this sort of like concrete reality of what the idea of this type of violence is against Black bodies, because we're removed from that version of the South where racists could basically act however, whenever, wherever, in whatever way they liked, and then suddenly it becomes this thing that shifts into institutions of power. And it's not until Rodney King comes along that you know, the thing that we as a collective community have been saying has been occurring, we have proof of it for the first time. And then it begins this whole other cycle of, you know, accountability, deniability. Oh my God. So, you know, I mean, it's been a very, very long time
Yeah.
of living with
Yeah.
this and dealing with this.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I'd add, you know, just for clarity, is that when I was 19, it was an instinctual understanding of and like trying to understand and make sense of what was going on around me. Instinctual and conceptual, because I was very, very, very new. I'd only been in America 1 year. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whereas now it's, you know, and you know, obviously I'll use experience with this is, yeah, spans. And we had the most beautiful phone call that, you know, he was the first person I called when George Floyd happened, and I was crying on the streets. And he really, when I say we're legitimately friends, like he really, I was having a breakdown on the streets, and Ali really helped me through that time. And man, I'm actually getting really emotional about this, but it would yeah, yeah, I'm actually good. Like I don't really want to. Yeah, I'm not actually gonna yeah, get into that, but it was very necessary at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing this with us, and thank you for this Q&A. You guys have been amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.